Hello and welcome to Opening the Gates to More Listings Meets the Complete Agent with me, Simon Gates, James Kendall from James Kendall & Co, Dave Warburton from Perth James and Ian Storey from Stories. And today we're going to be talking through how to consistently get 2% plus fees, 10 grand plus fees, and how to charge upfront fees as well. But it didn't start there for you, did it, lads? Low fees, high volume.
999 plus VAT.
Yeah.
No sale, no fee.
Yeah, but we didn't have the VAT at first. It was even better.
Oh, really?
Cheaper. Yeah.
999?
Yeah, it's just 999, no VAT.
Started a photo shoot.
Yeah, they're all the same. Listen, we'll just do it cheaper. That's all it was.
Yeah.
So as quick as you could get it on there, no quality control, just get it out there as quick as you can.
Thing is that when we took people on and we moved into an office,
Yeah.
we upped our fees. We doubled our fee to 1,800 quid plus VAT.
Wow. Yeah.
That's slightly less than double, 999, but let's not.
Oh,
It actually
God,
does make me feel a little bit sick thinking back to the, it was exciting, but it was just a completely different mindset, wasn't it?
Well, I think none of us, it was not on any of our radars that you could charge these kind of fees, was it?
No.
Didn't
But the thing is,
cross
though,
my mind.
In context, when I was doing that, I was taking the photos myself.
Oh, mate, the value, you didn't have the value to be able to charge a fee.
No, exactly. It was low end. So It was like I was doing the floor plan, if we did a floor plan right back in the day. Floor plans. Then we'd do photos, never on a phone, but always on like a cheap camera. It wasn't even a cheap camera, like an SLR of some sort.
Yeah.
But just, doing them myself.
Get in the bathroom like that.
Yeah.
See what happens
Or
today.
get that low down shot.
The mirror there.
I remember we had in my corporate days, we had a Lumix camera and it was literally like that. Yeah. I remember we were doing a repossession once and then this independent came in, all the kit. And I'm like, I've got this little Lumix here.
Getting back to the office and they're going, let's have a look at that one, Dave. Oh, yeah, lounge.
So bad.
Oh, you can't go on holiday, did she? Like,
yeah. so bad.
So what was the turning point then for all three of you to have that light bulb of things need to change and we need to start charging proper fees?
Yeah, I think it was stuff that I'd seen on social media about other people that were doing it. I think it was educating myself better by attending events and meeting other people. And personally, I think probably all the same, but slowly my mindset changed to try and create a proposition that delivered the value that made people pay the fee and were happy that they paid us what they paid us at the end of it all. And then B, the confidence and the mindset to go out there and be able to charge and command the fees. But it started by learning from other people and online that it could be done, I think. Yeah. I mean, I got a lot from Australian realtors. So we talk about Tom Panos and all those boys over there.
Tom Panos, John McGrath, $1 million agent.
That is good. I don't know what yours was.
And learned a lot from there about how they do things and then brought it over here and learned from other people as well in the industry. And it went from there really. So it's probably for me been a 9 year process to get where we are.
It's interesting that you say that because for me, again, very similar in that it's only really when I started to get serious about learning that I was then, I think it gave me the confidence to be able to.
That's right.
Because I, again, maybe very egocentric of me, but I thought I knew a estate agency and I knew it all.
Oh, yeah.
And
I didn't know that there was another way.
No.
That's what it was. So I just did it the way I'd always done it since 2003. Which is still how a lot of companies still do it, isn't it? But I didn't realise that there was another way. But you've got to invest time and money and have faith that it's going to work out. But there is another way, isn't there?
Yeah, and my realisation was that I had no money.
That's a pretty good. I mean, the same with me, to be fair.
Yeah, it was from the outside looking in. People were looking at us, going, "He is flying, absolutely flying." But inside, I was dying because we got busy. Very, very busy, very, very quickly. But within 6, 7, 8 months, I didn't have the team numbers to service the clients that we had well. The member of staff that I had doing sales progression and what have you was just climbing the walls. She was on her own. I was often out, me and my business partner at the time were often out knocking on doors, trying to get more business. And the money, when it came in, wasn't enough to cover overhead.
Straight out.
Yeah, just hemorrhaging.
I remember at one point I was advertising in the local paper that we had 75 SSTC from one little branch, and we were so proud that we had that many.
Yeah.
The average fee was probably grand. Yeah.
I think that's the way we're, I don't know, conditioned. You say about that 2003, where most agents don't look outside the four walls of their own estate agency, let alone to others in the industry and an outside industry. And I couldn't help but think of what you were saying there, Dave. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. Yeah. From the outside looking in, people are like, you're flying, you're selling loads of houses, you've got 75 SSTC, but when you're charging less than £1,000 a time, and it costs you that to put it on the market.
Yeah, and what's the classic about your conversion rate being high? Well, if your conversion rate's too high, you're probably too cheap. Yeah, and that's exactly what we were. We were like really proud of our 75, 80% conversion rates. So we dropped that massively by all of a sudden, right, we're going back to the drawing board. We're going to go back to traditional percentage-based fees. We're going to improve our marketing. And what are you two laughing at?
No, we're laughing at an in joke. You get it as well. But...
I know. Okay, fair enough. Let's not go there.
No.
Concentrate. So we went back to traditional percentage fees. We improved the quality of our product. And it was all very much about them with the team, again, getting the team buy-in, that we're going to go back to lower volume and much, much better fees. And when I say much, much better fees, we're talking like 1.5% on 250 grand houses and stuff like that. So when we were getting £2,500, £3,000 back in the day, we were absolutely delighted.
Yeah.
But what we weren't getting is getting invited out to special homes, which we've kind of covered in a couple of other podcasts, whatever way when you're looking at it. But
that's a very valid point that we actually didn't cover in our other episodes here today, was about how actually charging a higher fee gets you into nicer houses. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what the word is to explain that.
Well, Lamborghini wouldn't be a Lamborghini if it wasn't £250,000 plus, right?
No, sure,
If you've got, I think the way, just from estate agency, if I was looking at Stories and Burton James, and one of you charges 1% and the other one charges 1.25%, I'd go, they probably do the same thing, but he's trying to get an extra 25% profit out of me. Whereas when it's 2%, you're so far apart, but I'm going, we must be doing something massively different.
It's funny you say that, because that's one of the main things that resonated with me. This is probably 7 years ago as well. Someone in the industry said that to me, that if you won and you quote 1.25, people think you're the same. If you
was it me that said that?
There's a reason it wasn't you. There's a reason. Definitely. There must be a reason why you're so much more, and it gives you the opportunity to explain that as well. You know, why are you so much more?
It's also going to get rid of the what's it saying? Cheap clients come with expensive problems. So if I see you at 2%, I'm not paying that. And I hate it sometimes in the industry when it's like people say, "Oh, you've not demonstrated value enough," so you've not, and that's the case sometimes. But sometimes you can talk to you blue in the face, have all the data, be the most amazing person at selling 2% plus, but the owner will just never get it.
No. Can I also say that people that preach that haven't done a valuation for 30 years either, a lot of the time.
Yeah.
6 years, no val for me now. So I'm slowly becoming one of those people. But I couldn't help but think as well of what you were saying was it didn't just start with going from 999 to 2% plus VAT and upfront fees. You've worked your way there. So I think for anyone listening or watching this, and it's such a cringy saying, but don't compare your chapter 1 with your guy's chapter 10. If they're like, well, how do I go get 2% with £1,000 or 2 upfront?
Yeah, and that's what we see from like members, isn't it? We
they're
speak trying
to
people.
get to here pretty quick.
And we say it can be a slow process. Will you have to take a fee deal sometimes on some houses? It's the best main road on the best street, it's the best main road.
Yeah.
It's the best main road.
Is it Man City? Yeah, main road.
It's the best main road, and if you get a board up there and you'll sell it, whatever, of course, we've all been there. We've all done it. Commerciality, exactly. Sometimes take a decision on it, but you're not necessarily going to go from here to here in like overnight. It can be done.
I was going to say, you're not necessarily going to do that, but people wait too long to
they
quote
do,
higher fees.
and to me,
they
though,
won't be buying for too long, and it's 3 years later, and they've still not made the change.
A bit like they wait too long to hire that extra team member, like someone to do. I bet.
I'll do it when
we see so many people who are stuck doing every single task in their agency, when all they need to do is go and find a viewing specialist to take the viewings off them, and to outsource sales progression or bring someone in to do it for them, take that away from them. They need to just do that, but time after time they don't do that, and it stalls them, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the other thing is that a lot of the thing that I find is that they're so close that like a lot of them, like we've spoken to people who've maybe wanted to join TCA, and when you actually look at their website and what they're actually doing, you'll go,
it goes back to charge what you're worth, be worth what you charge.
Yeah.
To get to that level,
how you look.
you've got to look
And
like
it goes,
it,
and
sound
I
like
hate
it.
to say it, it's like a broken record, but it's so important, like how you look. So you end up going back to that and saying, you're perhaps not ready, to be quite honest. And we actually had somebody recently say, I don't feel like I'm ready to start charging X because I'm not doing that. But with them, you're just like, well, start doing that then.
Yeah.
With some people, they have to start again. And that's the challenge for them.
Yes.
So for me, my light bulb moment was really, it came probably only about 6 years ago. We were doing really well. Our low end brand was doing really well. I'd kind of been released from the business. I had all the team that I wanted, and it allowed me to go and find my next thing. We're established with lettings, we're established with sales, we had finance. It's going nicely. So it allowed me to go and find my next thing. And I did lots of research, like Ian said. I've been on lots of courses, met great people along the way that you bounce off that want the same things. And then it's all about applying yourself, absolutely applying yourself and believing that there is something out there that's better. And I'll never forget, but I was in a room probably with 20, 25 agents. And the question was, what's your average fee in the room? And there was also an additional question to that. It's like, what sort of money are you actually taking home? What are you earning? And I was in this room, and I genuinely started sinking into my chair a little bit, saying, I'm not sure what I want to give away here. But then as they started going around the room, I realised, Jesus Christ, I'm in a good place here. I'm actually not in a bad place. And then we got to a few people, and then out of nowhere, somebody went, yeah, average fee's 15 grand. And I was like, what? That is insane. And then somebody else went 18,000. And then the next one was 14. I'm like, no, I'm not having that. But what I did immediately was gravitate towards these people to understand what they are doing that I am not. Understand what's going on that what strategies have they put in place? How do they advertise? Where are they advertising? What does the brand look like? So very much a learning curve at the start to go and look at it. And then I thought, there is another way. The difference for me was it was never going to happen with that other brand, which is why, again, broken record, I cut it off and we went on to the new brand.
You do have to hold up a mirror though, like an honest mirror. And,
of course you do.
And really be honest with yourself.
Yeah, I knew in my heart of hearts I could go out and do it because I had the knowledge. I feel like I can articulate it well.
That's the key. I mean, when we started Stories, it was the original brand that we discussed in the Perform episode. So we were Storey Estates, different orange and green, bit more lower end looking. We didn't have loads of sales under our belt, probably less than 10 sales under our belt at that point. We didn't do brochures. We weren't doing twilight photography. We always did a video on every listing. Our socials were okay. I was getting myself out there on socials, but we definitely didn't do everything we do now, and we weren't that well known, and the brand wasn't as good, and we were quoting 2%. And we didn't get that on every listing, but we were going out quoting it with the mindset that we were worth it. And I think, and eventually that's led us to where we are now, but I think that's where a lot of agents really fall down because they don't believe in themselves enough that they can do it. But you can go and do it. You don't have to have everything in place to go out and start giving it a go with your mindset and trying to get the right kind of fees.
Oh, I remember you 3-4 years ago.
For longevity and growth, you need it eventually, but I don't think you need it initially. 3-4
years ago, we had a conversation, and like we were talking about obviously upping our fees, and we were consistently 1.5 all the time, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. And I was like, I really want to get to 2. And I just remember and even now, the little devil Ian sits on my shoulder in evaluation, and he's like, just charge it, lad. It's just what you charge.
Does that ever come out your voice to the seller? What? Who are you talking to?
Well, sometimes the Boltonian does come out. Sometimes we have a saying in house.
Sounds more scouse, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it is. You just have to quote. And the thing is, I'm not alien to. I got used to get 2.5%, 3% when I worked at corporate. Albeit probably not in the most ethical way, because the way we were taught to do it was, it is this fact.
That is how it was, yeah.
But you quote a fixed fee, based on what the sliding scale was, and then unfortunately then their process was that you tie people into long contracts and the price gets managed down, and where somebody signs up at 2%, it ends up then being 2.5%, 3%. But I mean, again, that's another thing about being a high caliber, high quality agent, is that you don't need to tie people in for 3, 4, 5, 6 months.
That goes back to one of the previous episodes when we said if your marketing and communication is of a certain quality, even if they are getting prospected by other agents, they're not going to go elsewhere.
No.
And Perry Powers says it a lot, and it really resonates with me when he's like, if you do a 12-week contract, you're giving yourself a firing date.
Yeah.
Like it gets to 12 weeks, you've not sold it. I've got all these agents contacting me. And if you're that confident in your fee and what you're going to deliver, you don't need to tie them in.
I always say that as an agent, you're in control of three things: the quality of the marketing, the exposure that it receives, and the frequency and the quality of the communication with the client.
A wanker.
I knew he was about to go in because he did this like, I was like, oh, he's about to.
It is true though. It is true.
I think going back to the start of the conversation in terms of going from lower fees, higher volume, it made me think of, I don't know if you're familiar with an Australian marketer called Mark Ritson. Have you come across him?
No, I don't know.
So I saw him speak at a MailChimp conference a couple of years ago, and he was brilliant, straight talking Aussie bloke, and there was so many like F words in his presentation, it was unbelievable. But he said most businesses try and increase volume of sales and reduce their costs. So let's try and sell more houses, but not have as many staff, not have as good as marketing, And he said the one thing you need to do to improve your profit in your business is charge more money for it. And I don't know if we've mentioned it in previous episodes, but there's a book called Alchemy by Rory Sutherland.
I've actually got a signed copy.
Can I
see it?
And he says, but I think one of the pieces of advice he gave to, I can't remember what business it was, that they like pay him a fortune to go in to be a marketer, and he went, you just charge more money.
Yeah.
No one's going to buy a product if you charge more money. He went, just up your prices, and sales went crazy.
Yeah.
And of course, we should always remember that you can come down from 2% if you have to on the odd transaction.
It's easier to come from 2% down to 1.5 than it is to go from on 1%
to 1.8.
But you said it in a previous episode where someone said you were too cheap, or they thought you'd be more expensive. You can't then turn around and go, oh, sorry, I meant...
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, but charge what you're worth, be worth what you charge. Like, you can't just go out and go, I'm 2% if you're not doing the proper story. You're not doing the actual full suite. And also, if you can't demonstrate you can deliver a result, because at the end of the day, you're not, it's not like you're ripping people off. You are charging what you're worth. And Simon is going to show you some great stats now as to why we're so good.
So on that, as if we planned, is like the first thing we even planned. So on that point, so I don't know if I've shared with you guys before on the podcast, but Rightmove surveyed about 1,000 sellers in October last year. And they said, we're going to give you a list of options and choose 3 of them. If you were to choose a more expensive agent, why would you choose the more expensive agent? Give us 3 options. And the 3 most common answers were they can demonstrate they get more money in my back pocket, they sell it quicker, and they can show me they've got market knowledge. Well, we've spoken in previous episodes about you demonstrating market knowledge, both online, offline, print marketing, social media. And in terms of your stats, you're selling property 15 days quicker than the national average. So you're getting them sold quicker, and you're achieving 2.22% more for their property. So even at 2% versus another agent at 1%, you could be charging 3%. And they still have more money in their back pocket.
Yeah.
And have a higher chance of actually selling and actually moving.
Yeah, well, so again, to your stats, you're 41% more likely to sell a property. So again, when you can confidently be in my living room, when I go, James, you're 2%, the other agent's 1%, well, Simon, I'm 41% more likely to get you moved 15 days faster with an extra 2% in your back pocket. That's why I'm charging my fee.
You should know that. You've done the stats.
But yeah, it proves the point, and when you can confidently say that, can't you, right?
Yeah, huge. We send that out. We send that out ahead of the val. So obviously we work with you to get that information, and we send that out. We have it all designed in a nice format, and we send that out as part of the pack before we get there, because no one else is doing that, and that's amazing data.
Even not doing it, they're not even knowing their numbers.
No,
the amount of agents I'll say, what percentage of asking price you're achieving, I don't know. How much money do you negotiate from start offer to end offer?
Yeah,
I don't know.
No.
Well, how can you command a higher fee if you can't demonstrate?
But that comes down to educational, because that agent used to be me, by the way. That used to be me. If you asked me 10 years ago, what's your average fee? What do you achieve? I'd have been like, I don't know. Average fee sounds about this. And the market's good. You had a conversation on your podcast the other week, and you said something along the lines of, you can tell how good of an agent somebody is depending on how well they answer the question, how's the market?
Yeah, the average answer is, good, busy. Like when someone finds out you're an agent, the first thing they say to you is, how's the market? They never say, how are you, Dave, do they?
No, never.
Say, how's the market?
Makes me sad, actually.
They never say, how are you? And you go, do you know what? I've just spent $3,000 because my power steering's gone on my car. And I'm having to sell it. So I listen to the podcast.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that.
But yeah, the amount of agents who will just go, yeah, good, busy. But again, if you know your market inside out, you know the numbers, etc., then that initial first impression is going to be good. And they're expecting you, when you send out what you've said, when you're sending out the print marketing, when they're asking your fee, they're expecting you to be higher. Whereas the other agent who said 1%, like, well, I was expecting that because they turned up a bit late. They flicked their cigarette out the car, the music was blaring, and they said they could roughly get me a number, but the other guys had a clear process.
Just on that as well, it just made me think of one of the things we covered at the mastermind. I've mentioned it about 800 times, but it also, the thing is, the journey to getting that fee starts way before, they've checked you out, this, that, and the other. But when that call finally comes in, it's one of the things we've obviously discussed a lot recently, is that call as well can make or break.
Huge, yeah.
How you get, we talked about earlier in a previous direct mail episode about about the spelling mistake on a letter. But also equally, when someone calls an agency and says, hello, I'm thinking about getting an evaluation, I'd like to book a valuation. And, the person on the other end of the phone says, all right, great. Yeah, how many bedrooms is that? How many bathrooms? All right. And what day do you want to do? What time do you want to do? All right, thanks. See you later. Bye. And if you're the first call, you're great, because you can deliver them a world-class experience, and they haven't just had 2 of those other calls back to back where it's just been monotonous, blah, blah, blah. It comes from, world-class fees come from world-class questions, right? And that is all about, throughout the process, whether that's you're showing somebody a house or whether you're even booking a viewing, what was it that drew you to this house in the first place? Why did you buy this house? Where are you going? And, and the quality of the conversation that you have, they might come off that call going, because we have things like Rightmove Plus open, we have like things like Spectre open in the background. So the first thing my team do is when they take that address, it's straight there in the tab on the bar, and they can see if it was on the market before. They can see and if it wasn't, and let's say for example, a lot of our people have been in a house for a generation. So 25, 30 years they've been there. So there may not be a Rightmove listing, but that we can see, right, it's on an acre plot. Oh, I can see you're on an acre there. Is that title just yours there? Or is the paddock next to it part of it as well? Like, you're having those conversations and asking them questions about their own house without having to go, okay, and how much land do you have? And automatically in the mind of the person on the other end of the phone, they're thinking, wow, okay, these guys are switched on here.
Yeah, our guys, we train our guys to build a relationship with the client from the start of the conversation. So I think they've got it as like a little sticky note on the monitors next to it. So it's always front of mind that the aim here is to build a relationship with the client, not just to book the val. So get some information out of them, pass it on to the valuer.
I remember you, I think, saying this when you came on my podcast, and I loved it in terms of, it's even before what you said, of if I rang your office now, how do you answer the phone at your office?
Thank you for calling Stories.
So if I was so I say, good morning, XYZ, Simon speaking.
Yes.
But immediately when I heard that, I was like, thank them for calling.
Yes, that's right.
Say your name, because normally when you say your name, they're going to give you their name.
Yeah, that's right.
Hi, John, thanks for calling.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, repeat their name back to them. All that sort of
and if you're at, just for ease of maths of me here, let's say the average fee is 15 grand. I try and say to agents that we'll break it into thirds. So if it's a 15 grand fee, that phone call is worth 5 grand. What does a £5,000 phone call sound like?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then when you actually go to do the val, what does a £5,000 valuation look like? So the way you guys use your data, and then what does a £5,000 follow-up look like?
Yeah.
So is it adding them straight to a WhatsApp group, doing a quick video, hey, nice to meet you, da-da-da-da-da?
We also worked out with our team, this was a Michelle thing, that we worked out what every valuation was worth to the company, whether we got it or not, whether it was cancelled or not. Yeah, it was
and you can
like
break that right down
grand.
into your direct mail and stuff. How much is a letter worth?
Yeah.
And
Are you happy to share that figure out loud?
Yeah, I think it's 3 grand. Yeah. So just by booking the valuation, whether it gets cancelled or not, whether we get it or not, it's worth 3 grand to the company. Yeah, that call, which is amazing. And when we first did it, the team just couldn't believe it. It's a really, really great way of emphasising.
Another good thing is we again talked about it before, was telling the team how much it costs to sell a house.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is how many homes you sell in a year divided by your total costs. So that's everything. So that's employing, office, right, marketing, everything. Your total costs for the year divided by how many homes you sell.
Yeah.
And it's eye-opening for a lot because, we had conversations, £500, £1,500, like, or, $2,500. It's like,
a lot more,
So then when a call comes in and the house is, 250, £3,000, like 300 grand, for example, then it's not something that we're going to have buyers for. We're not going to be able to help you sell because, nobody's in business to break even, right?
No,
it's all about making money and moving forward.
I think with it as well, it's very easy for people to just say, go and charge 2%. Like for that conversation that you were referring to before, you are a 2% agent. Your branding was, and your experience is, and your confidence perhaps was lacking at that point, thinking people might not pay it, but you know what, I will just ask because I'm great at it. I also think that for some people, they will watch this and go, it's easy to say that. But the reality is, like I said, where we've all come from, and I can only draw on my own experiences as well, being in a room where other people are doing it and I'm absolutely nowhere near, finding out how to do it and then following that path. You've got to believe it. I think you've got to absolutely believe it. So you've got to create the brand that is representative of a 2% agent. And then you've got to create the team culture that's representative of a 2% agent. And they've got to believe it too. And obviously we've done in a previous podcast, sort of direct mail and things like that, becoming an authority, and building, in my opinion, your own personal brand within the brand, and whoever else is representing you builds their own personal brand within a brand. And once you start doing that and you're getting a little bit of traction, the confidence is, mine's up here. I go into every evaluation expecting to win it. And obviously in reality, that's not the case. I'm not going to win everything, but I'm so confident in my ability to go in and present our proposition the way we do it. And I'm really confident that I could sit somebody down and learn all about what they are looking to achieve and make it all about them and ask the right questions in order to make them feel like I've listened to everything they've talked about and make them feel that I am the right person to represent them and make sure that they get what we're talking about here today.
What might be a good exercise as well for people, and it's something that I've done before, where even when we were 1.5 trying to get to 2, is get a sheet of paper, putting a line down the middle and going, right, 1.5%, and that's what we do now, 2% here. What's in that column to look like a 2% agent? Because it helps you clarify in your own mind. And it may well even be like, I got to a point where I was like, well, actually, I don't know why I put that in there because we're kind of doing that already anyway. And it is just, you've said it thousands of times before, it's a mindset thing. It is.
Well, if you, let's say, to take what you've just said to a further extreme, let's say tomorrow it got mandated that you have to charge 5% plus VAT in your businesses overnight. What are you doing to command 5%? Are you saying, right, I'm going to get a chauffeur-driven car to come and pick you up?
Yeah.
I'm going to go on every single viewing with you. I'm going to negotiate on your behalf. Like, you could all of a sudden fill a whiteboard of all the things you do for 5% plus VAT.
Then their value adds, and I think that's sometimes the thing that agents forget. So, for example, when we quote 2%, we'll also, in some cases, help clients with their onward purchase. So it's about having that one-to-one. So I can say, look, I'm going to help you negotiate your next, and having case studies as well. Case studies is massive. When there's loads of multifaceted things we can go through here, but when in my particular pitch, when I go and see people, I've got the brochures out on the table, and I'm talking people through the stories of these people's journeys in front of me, and what this looked like. For example, like Sarah in this house here, we got £250,000 more than the next lowest valuation that was there. Helped her buy a house, helped her through the process of buying a house, but it all came about from me showing her houses when she wasn't on the market, and she even wrote. She did a video testimonial for me, and what made the difference on the viewings for her and what made her want to get me round her house originally was the questions I was asking her. And when I was getting feedback, and she just said that it was, she's doing lots of houses with lots of different agents, and the experience was, pretty poor, to be honest, across the board, for many, where it was just, this is a kitchen, this is the lounge. They didn't know anything about the house. And listen, we don't build the houses we're selling, and we don't live in them. So we're not going to know every single detail, but we're going to know a lot. And when someone says, has it got X, Y, and Z? Or, do you know what, actually, I don't like this house because it hasn't got this. Then reframing it and saying, well, why do you need that? We're talking about why you're looking to move. What about if we could utilize that room for that once a year and use the kitchen diner for what you really need? I had that recently on a viewing, where the people that were viewing, their objective was to, and I quote Tom Panis here, nothing more expensive than having a hot buyer in front of a. I feel like I should look to the camera every time I say that. Ding! Can you add like a little white, like ding, when I say that, when I steal somebody else's phrase? But it's true. And these people are spending over £3 million on a house. And we were in the kitchen and they were saying, unfortunately, it's got no dining area. We need kitchen, dining and family because we like to entertain. And I was saying, right, okay, well, delving a bit deeper into this. And why do you need that dining area? How often do you entertain? 6-7 times a year. Then Mrs. chimes in and says, well, actually, Steve, we only did it once last year, and that was at Christmas. I said, well, look, let's reframe this. What solution can we find? So if we can move Christmas into the drawing room over there and, put a big table that comes apart and is used once a year, we can get that. But in this section here, you can get a nice big U sofa around the TV. This can be where you guys live on a day-to-day basis. And let's go back to, because this all goes down to having the right conversations with the people that you're viewing with at the time. What are you getting out of this move? You're looking to move here so you can see your grandkids, you can see your family, and commute to your business within 10 minutes. It's not just for the kitchen diner, right? The kitchen diner is something that's used once a year. And they said, you know what, you're absolutely right. And that is the difference between, if I was, no disrespect, the wet behind the ears kid that's just started and put the key in the door and gone, yo, this is the kitchen, this is the lounge. Door opener, exactly that. And even, arguably people say, well, no one can sell my house better than I can. Maybe not. Maybe
also get in the way of.
But also, the owners may know their house better than you, but they're not salespeople. They're not there to sell.
No, and as I've always said, you're not selling your house. You're selling your buyer's next house.
Do you know what? That is great. You should trademark that.
So you need to think about that all the time. And one thing I was going to say on the back of that was, just going back to how to get to 2%. I think you really need to, where possible, shove it in people's face that you are worth more than the other agent.
Glad you said
so
that.
We do that before we get there. I think we have something like 6 touch points before we get to the val, maybe 7.
Yeah.
One of the vals I went to yesterday that was on another agent. I've heard from them like 3 times in a year, 2 viewings. They'd heard from us 7 times before I rang the doorbell within about 48-hour period. And then when I said to him, I'm going to follow up on Monday, and wrote my time and
did you put that on a business card?
Oh yeah, it's a great idea. Like, you should try that.
Do you know what I do? I set up a WhatsApp group with them afterwards as well.
Great idea. And the guy actually said to me, I think that'll be 8 times I've heard from you.
Yeah,
inside
gold dust.
People are not complaining about being over communicated to, are they?
Not at all.
Typically,
you're really overemphasizing the fact that you're good at that. Yeah, you can't just say I'm good at communication, because everyone says that. Yeah. You've got to show them that you are. Before and including the val.
I want to go back to a couple of points you made earlier, Dave, in terms of getting in the right room and being with the right people, because another Tom Panos saying, if you surround yourself with 5 dickheads, you become the 6th dickhead. So if you're surrounding yourself with people who charge 1%, you're going to charge. Yeah, what was it? You're going to charge 1%, right? Yeah. And you're in a room where everyone's trying to get to that 2% kind of figure. And when you said about personal brand as well, all 3 of you have a personal brand with a great brand behind you. Yet how many businesses out there don't have that, that person leading from the front? Right. And then the other thing can help think of, you've got where you guys are now, where you've really worked extremely hard to charge the fees you do, but then you have others who could come into the industry ignorant, who don't know any better, and you go, by the way, we charge 2%, and they can start getting 2% straight away, yet someone else who's been doing it years can't, because they've got that preconceived mindset of you can only charge 1%. They've got limited beliefs. Yeah. So I think it's kind of, you've got ignorance, and then you've got I've trained to an inch of my life, and then you've got the middle ground.
It's true that
you only know what you know.
Well, so it's our senior valuer Matt, who joined us in back end of last year. He has only ever worked for 1%, because of course most of 1%. He's only ever worked for 1% agents. Joined us September, charging 2% on upfront fees, and he's getting 2% on upfront fees. And you know, he didn't think that was possible at all previously. Didn't even enter his mind.
That's just what you do.
Just what we do, yeah.
It's how it's delivered as well.
It's how
isn't
it's
it?
delivered. It's the team around him. It's everything that he believes in, you know, but nevertheless, he's there, he's doing it, isn't it? So it's possible for anyone.
Yeah. And on that, you said upfront fees. So let's touch on that then. So I've sold a few houses over the years, guys. I've never paid someone up front. Why would I be paying? I'd pay you at the end when you sold it. That's what estate agents do. So what does that look like in the living room to?
Well, it's called purple bricks. You pay $899 up front, and then that's it. We sell your house. No, I mean, it's end of the day, it's a commitment fee, isn't it? At the end of the day, like Dave articulates it really well, but how you deliver it to the person, and you know, the £500, £1,000, or £2,000, or whatever it is you charge up front. You know, the reality is it's not really going to touch the size of the marketing spend. But what it is a commitment, you know, and it shows the seller that you're serious.
It also shows you're respecting yourself.
100%.
Right, you've got to respect yourself first before others respect you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but also,
I'm not, go on, sorry.
No, you go.
I was going to say, I'm not going to start spending thousands of pounds and hours of work if you're not actually that into it.
If you're not committed, 100%. And that's the other thousands of pounds that you're going to spend is a massive thing. So again, the perception is that the money, the percentage fee, goes straight in your back pocket.
It's also mad that the amount of people who don't realise estate agents have to pay to list on Rightmove. They just assume
100%,
it's a free website.
You need to articulate this. So when people are saying, "Oh, well, the other agent there is charging 0.75 or 1%, including VAT, or 1.1, whatever it might be," what they're not taking into account is that actually a large proportion of the investment is just that. It's an investment. You're charging 2% plus VAT, but I'm going to be charging you a proportionate upfront fee as a commitment from us both. So if you're committed to this, I am. It won't touch the sides of the marketing, but that equally is an investment in the marketing budget. Now, if I start charging you 1%, well, that means I'm going to have to cut your marketing budget. So do you think that I can make you?
It's the first thing that gets cut, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the first thing that gets cut. I can't do your cinematic video tour and then optimize it in 4 different ways so it goes on every social media channel. Can't then re-record stuff. I can't come back and do seasonal photos. You know, I can't do all that. I can't have an app. I can't be in a WhatsApp group at 8 o'clock at night. I can't not have you in my agent network and collaborate with other people and match my buyers to you. And if we have to do some additional stuff like, I don't know, Lancashire Life, all that sort of stuff, I can't do all that if you're going to cut the marketing budget. And the reality is that I am going to be thousands and thousands of pounds deep in both material costs and labour before we do anything. And the risk is all mine. So unless we get you a great result, you can walk away for nothing. I can't. The risk is all mine. So yes, you're going to, on paper, pay me a bit more, but the result that I've demonstrated I get will be more than worth it. And guess what? If I don't deliver, you can get rid of me and go to the 1% guy.
Because you don't tie them in. I think demonstrating that, I think so many homeowners don't see the tangible of like the cost involved and labour that you said in photos, twilight, video, I think when it comes to a builder doing an extension and says, oh, it's 10 grand for 10 grand for materials, they're going, well, that makes sense because they need to get bricks, they need cement, they need wood, Yeah, 10 grand seems fine. But I think an estate agent, they go, how could you, because it's not like actual things that they can touch.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Agreed.
It does, yeah.
And do you know what we were talking about yesterday or this morning about the benefits, weren't we?
Yeah,
it's like
explain the benefits.
So many people forget to explain the benefits of what you're actually doing.
They just sell the features.
Yeah, absolutely. So say, we're going to do you some photography, professional photography, we're going to do a video and we're going to put you on Rightmove.
And that's it. Next thing.
And I go, great. Well, that's what the other agent just told me. Well, actually, if you take your time just to say, right, this is why we're going to do it.
Yeah.
This is why we're going to do a cinematic video tour, because it's going to tell the story of the lifestyle of this property. So you've had this property now for 35 years. It's a generational home. You're going to be gutted to give it up. You've spoken to me really passionately today about how you built it with your own hands. You did it. You're an architect design home. And you've talked to me all about that. You've talked to me about how your kids have grown up in this house. That is the story that we've got to get across. And if I'm allowed to do a cinematic video tour with me presenting it, and you've seen the work that I do and how I do it, then I can sell the lifestyle. We're not just selling bricks and mortar. I always say that. We're not selling bricks and mortar, we're selling lifestyle. So we've really got to go ahead and show that off.
Yeah.
And that's how we're going to get premium.
Can I go do a val now?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, no longer your house though.
But that's what you've got to do. And jokes aside, we are no longer selling your house. We're selling your buyer's next home. So we've got to really demonstrate how they are going to use it. And the benefit is that we'll get bigger reach, we'll tell the story, and people buy lifestyle, not just bricks and mortar. So if we can do that, rather than just put it on Rightmove with a lot of photographs and hope for the best, we've got a better chance of selling it because we've got a wider audience. Why would we optimize it? Well, we'll optimize it because it's going to go on TikTok, it's going to go on Instagram, it's going to go on Facebook. The reels get much bigger reach, they'll get shared, they'll get tagged, and that means that you'll get more eyeballs on your property, and therefore we're more likely to get more viewings. So I'm going to invest in all of that using the money that you'll pay me at the end, Mr. Seller. So all of this comes at a premium. Of course it does, but it's not all going in my back pocket. And it's all the other stuff that we've talked about that you can't see, the communication, the phone calls in the evening, the team training, all the touch points that we talked about, we're delivering, and then you give them test case results. We've got a design team, we've got a copywriter, this is your brochure. It's all there. They're all material items, but you've really got to tell the story behind it and then deliver the benefit that's going to ultimately come down to quickest possible time frame to sell and the most money in your back pocket. Take the conversation away from the fee almost, and you need this. And you need me to be doing it for you because you can see this is what I do and nobody else does it the way I do it.
You need to explain the value of the benefits as well. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if an agent says there's a difference between professional photography and professional photography, because there's a lot of agents near me that overvalue, there's a lot of agents near me that, we use it's becoming a standard now since COVID, right? Across the country, jokes aside, that people will use a professional photographer, and a professional photographer is someone that gets paid to take photos by rights. Yeah. But there's a difference between the agent sending somebody out for 180 quid on their own, taking a load of pictures and then clearing off in half an hour after they've done a floor plan, or somebody that, again, for going through our process, the home stylist goes out before that's even happened. So the home is ready and dressed, ready to photograph. But then on the day, we're going out with the photographer, the videographer to direct the shoot because, our photographer in-house has got BA Hons in photography, like a degree. But as an amazing photographer he is, he's not a marketeer. So they need direction from the agent to go, right, well, and this is what I explain on my appointments where, it's all good taking an X photo, but we, like you just said, Dave, we need to capture the story of this house. And the only way we're going to do that is by, the photographer does not have the benefit of our conversation for 2 hours about why you've loved living here, what somebody else is going to love living here. And I need to work with my photographer, videographer to help capture the essence of that story. And, again, a professional photographer that comes round for an hour and does a floor plan and a few photos and then gets it online.
We've had something exactly the same. It's a very well-known premium agent, and the house is on at 2.25 million. I've been invited out on the back of the letter. They like what we've done. They've looked at our socials and everything, and they've basically said to me, we want the video and everything that you do. And obviously when I was probing, saying, how's your experience been so far? It's overpriced, and the photos that they got are not bad. But he said, in the end, he went, they were both looking at each other and they've said, I don't want to badmouth him because he's a nice guy, but he didn't even turn up on the day for the shoot.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And they said, no. He said he just sent someone. They were done in about 45 minutes and gone. And I'm saying, when we conduct a shoot, it's probably going to be on a house like this 5-6 hours. Our home stylist is going to turn up 2 hours before everybody.
Yeah.
She's going to set every single room up the way it should be set, because you're no longer selling your home, you're selling your buyer's next home.
Love that.
So I want to present it in a way that they want to see it. So she's going to come in and set it all up. We're going to, the photographers will then turn up. I'll come and do my video. It was just, we're going to come back at night, do all the twilights. That's when they started opening up a little bit. And they were like going, I've not had any of that. We have not had any.
You built the value in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's key. It's absolutely key. So you do build it in, and they I think as well, being mid to high end, we've talked. There's less challenge, I think, on fee.
Yeah, it's been proven that the higher up the price point you go, they're more willing to pay the high fees. It's not just the monetary amount in terms of value of the home; it's the percentage as well.
Yeah,
I think we discussed it on a podcast I was on with you guys recently, where they're more likely to be entrepreneurial.
Yeah,
the lower in the market are selling their time for money, so they don't quite get it. Whereas they're going, well, I'll leave Dave the expert 2% at a million, because then that frees up my time to go earn more money than what he's earning from selling my house.
The other great thing about it as well is if you've done it all, done everything, you're driving the conversation to only ever one thing, and that's price. Yeah. You know, if you're showing that you've done absolutely everything, so you can confidently say, look, we've done twilight shoots, professional photography, we've styled the home, you've seen how much time we spent with you, I'm regularly updating you on the market conditions, we've got a video, these are the views that we've got on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, these are my agent collaborations that I've had, I can show you that I've put it in the group here, we've had buyers through. It can only be one thing, you know. It's not me that's valuing your home. It's a market dictation, and unfortunately, the price that we set right at the start doesn't agree with the market conditions right now. So, would you agree that all the marketing's amazing? And 99 times out of 100, it's like, yeah, oh, look, the house looks incredible. And then, as long as you're having regular conversations, you will always usually retain that client and go on to sell it. Yeah. Now, I appreciate that. Obviously, we're trying to get the 2% first, so that all comes after. But like Ian said before, it's the touch points leading up to that and being able to demonstrate it. And how do your team handle things? How do they handle inquiries? Do they sound like a 2% agent or do they sound like a 1% agent? But Michelle said, we were talking about it again earlier on, Michelle, when we did the mastermind this week, just said, you know, as most business owners will worry about what's actually going on in their office. You know, they'll almost want control over every phone call, over every valuation booked, over every text message sent. And the reality is you can't. You've got to let go of that. And she said, the only way really around that is by ensuring that your team understands how to make that client feel. So before you send that message, before you make that call, how do you want the client to feel at the end of it? And it'll come down to, do they actually know what you are and who you're selling to? Do they know, honestly? That's another great exercise. And didn't you said something this morning about a luxury brand, didn't you? You asked me a question.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really good one.
Yeah, we did a training exercise with the team where the team identified a couple of luxury brands, for example, Singapore Airlines or Rolex or, you know, a luxury brand. And they wrote down on a wall what makes that luxury brand different. So you've got EasyJet and you've got Singapore Airlines. What's the difference between the two? Or you've got Rolex and you've got a cheap watch. You know, what's the difference between the two? How does it make people feel? And we went through that exercise with the team, or Michelle did, and it was amazingly eye-opening for the team to see the difference. And then we translated that into a estate agency. And that really, really resonated with the team. And I would encourage anyone to do that exercise with their team, because it really, really brought home to the team how to speak to people, how to make them feel different to the average estate agent. Yeah, and I think obviously speaking with authority, you know, we talk about preparing data and understanding your local market. Your direct mail, the way you look, the way you present properties, the results that you potentially advertise and get will get you through the door. You've then got to be able to demonstrate your value, haven't you, in the living room, and they've got to feel that you're the right person. So I think demonstrating those benefits, like I said, and they generally speaking, at all ends of the market, people do want to work with people that they like. But I find particularly mid to high end, they want to know that you know what you're doing and that you are the best placed person to sell that house. And it to me, I rarely get someone saying, you're too expensive. Yeah, at that level, yeah. Yeah, they might go with someone else for whatever reason, and I will lose occasionally on fee, of course, we all do. But
you didn't get enough value, Dave.
Maybe. But it's rare that it's rare that it's that. You just don't. If you do it properly, you don't lose as many on fee at the top end.
So I was saying to that owner, you're going to be entering into a relationship with someone for probably 6 to 12 months. At the end of it, and you haven't sold, and you're like, oh, I should have gone with a more expensive option, inverted commas. Or do you get to the end and you're sold and you've gone, maybe I paid a little bit more than the other agents charged, but I've actually got myself moved.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the saying is. The bitter taste of shit service remains long after. expensive fee. I can't remember. I've absolutely fucking butchered
Do that again.
That was so bad. I spent too much time with James. There was a good quote on that, and I will remember it later on.
Probably mine. Something I said.
Yeah. But is there, we can't end on my shit point there. So is there any final points from anyone on getting 2% plus, 10 grand plus fees, upfront fees?
I think you just got to be worth it. You've got to believe you're worth it.
Yeah.
That's ultimately
I think
what it
belief
comes down
comes
to.
before being.
It sounds like
You've
such
got
an
to
obvious thing
believe
to
you're
say.
worth it, and you've got to be able to demonstrate that you're worth it. You've got to believe it first.
I think we
That's
said
the
it
key.
in one of the first episodes, whether you think you can, whether you think you can't.
Exactly.
You're right. So you got to believe it. And I think, I'm pretty sure it was a late Gary Speed before, and he used to be a great penalty taker. Gary Speed was a footballer.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
He would think before he went to run up to hit the penalty, he'd go, which way am I celebrating? Not which way am I putting the ball. He'd go, right, when I score, I'm going to go celebrate to that. Like,
Brilliant,
pick someone out, I'll go celebrate with them. So you got to believe it.
You've got to believe it.
The belief comes though from knowing it as well.
Yeah.
So
There's, again, I'm going to butcher it, but I'll try. Does a bird sit on a branch because it trusts the branch not to break, or it trusts its wings to fly?
Nah.
there you go.
You want to be there, Joking.
Yeah,
Remember it?
you'll use it next week podcast.
It doesn't know if a branch is
Sounds
going
like
to.
something I said.
It doesn't know if a branch is going to break or not, does it? It trusts its wings to fly.
Yeah.
But I suppose my point is, it's again, I go back to my old days. There's no way. I didn't have the belief. I couldn't take that brand into where I am now.
It wasn't worth it either.
And it wasn't worth it. So you create it. If you've not got it and you want to do this, go and bloody create it.
I'd say in the early days of me being an agent, where I worked, I was so confident with the brand behind me. I think I've said it on the podcast before. I was like, I genuinely believe this person's house is worth more with my board outside. But towards the end of my time, others around, such as James, go and improve their marketing, and the gap's getting closer. It's like, I don't feel as confident in that fee anymore. I don't feel I can confidently go in there and justify that fee because we're not delivering. The gap is not what it was. It's shrunk over that time. So
That board outside, like you've said before, it protects the equity in the house, because if they see a cheap agent's board or like a Purple Bricks or an online fixed fee like agent outside, the buyers are going to be thinking, if they've cut corners on their agency, what have they cut corners on inside the house?
Well, final point on me as well. Niching things. You don't have to take everything. We've spoken about it already, but you don't have to.
Yeah, being selective helps you to get a higher fee.
Yeah, there's plenty of 3-bed semis and 4-bed detached, but it depends where you live. You might be well known for equestrian houses, for barn conversions, all sorts. You can become known for certain types of properties, whether it's unique or whatever it might be. Prestige.
You can, and that's good. Equally, you can charge. You can get a 2% fee at any level of the market if you're good enough.
You can.
So there's an agent that I know in Norfolk who's charged 2% for a long time. I think his average fee is something like 200 grand, maybe 250 average property value. I would probably charge 200 grand.
Upfront, yeah.
So it's possible at any level.
Yeah.
Our average value is less than $1 million, and our average fee is 1.98%, 1.99%. So it's possible. Not just at the higher end, it's possible to have a brand stretch proposition where you can charge it across the board.
But
it's a bit easier at the higher end.
The niche might not just be the property type either, though. The niche is definitely
house.
Yeah, and this is what we do. Yeah, absolutely. So it might be I don't take doer-uppers on or whatever it might be, but also your marketing, your niche your marketing. We do this every single time on every single house. It does not matter if it's a 4-bed detached executive or a 7-bed barn conversion. We do the same thing on every house.
Love it. Right, for everyone listening, watching at home, you have been checking out Open the Gates to More Listings Meets Complete Agent, where we've been talking through how to get 2% plus fees, £10,000 plus fees, and how to get upfront fees. Stay tuned for the next episode.